Hello, and welcome to the video for section 7.5, factoring when our a equals 1. All right, so what we're going to do in this section is factor the trinomial ax squared plus bx plus c when our a equals 1. All right, we'll go through and factor when it's not 1 in other sections, but this is how we're going to start. Please notice the a is the coefficient of the x squared, the b is the coefficient of the x, and the c is the constant. Okay? So when we go through and look at this, we look at the first one, and it says x squared plus 10x plus 21. Well, in this case, I know that my b is 10 and my c is 21. All right? So to start off, we need to think what two numbers multiply to our c value, which is 21, and add to our b value, which in this case is 10. So what I like to do is I like to start off with the factors of 21. 1 and 21, and 3 and 7. Remember, we now need to add them to be 10, so it will be 3 and 7. So it will be x plus 3 and x plus 7. Okay? We can always check these things if we want to make sure we're correct. All right? By distributing them. X times x is x squared. X times 7 is 7x, x times 3 is 3x, and 3 times 7, which is 21, which does work out, okay? So for all the first ones here, we notice both of our signs are positive, all right? If we look at example B, we need to multiply to 6, and this is a summation sign, add to 7. Well, what are our factors of 6? 1 and 6, and 2 and 3. Well, which numbers multiply to 6 and add to 7? 1 and 6. So we'd have x plus 1 times x plus 6. Please understand that how you write the 1 and 6 does not matter. The signs of what's inside the parentheses are important here. All right. As we move on to example C, once again, we need two numbers that are going to multiply to our c, which is 20, and add to 12. Okay, and I'll even kind of highlight these, and I'll go back and highlight the previous one. They're going to multiply to 20, and the previous one they're going to multiply to 6, and they're going to add to 12. Just so you can see it, all right, in both of these. All right, so if I think of 20, that would be 1 and 20, 2 and 10, and 4 and 5. They all multiply to 20, but we need to see, well, which one are going to add to 12? That would be 2 and 10. So we would say x plus 2 times x plus 10. Okay? All right. If we move on to example 2, we're still going to factor here, but please notice the last sign's a positive, but our middle sign here is a negative. All right, so the same thing. What two numbers multiply to our c value, which is 3, but add to negative 4, which is our b value? When I go through and do that, what multiplies to 3? Negative 1 times negative 3, all right, and 1 times 3. All right, well, now I need to think, well, which ones are going to add to negative 4? Negative 1 plus negative 3 equals negative 4. All right, so our parentheses here would be x minus 1 and x minus 3. And just to show you again, our check, x times x is x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. Negative 1 times x is negative x, and negative 1 times 3, which is 3. If we combine our like terms, x squared minus 4x plus 3. Okay, so it's important we notice, all right, the signs in our trinomial and our parentheses here. Okay, if we look at example B, we want two numbers to multiply to 35. Well, if we think which two numbers will multiply to positive 35, we know that they're going to be the same sign, either both positive or both negative. But what we're also looking for here is two numbers to add to negative 12, okay? So when we look at that, does it make sense that we use positive numbers? No. So when we go through and do the factors of 35, it'd be negative 1 and negative 35, negative 5 and negative 7. Well, which pair of these add to negative 12? It would be negative 5 and negative 7. So our parentheses would be x minus 5 times x minus 7. All right? Okay, hopefully you're kind of seeing patterns as you go through this. Once again, our constant is 24, so we need two numbers to multiply to 24, but add to negative 14. All right? So notice here again, both of our numbers are going to be negative because we need them to add to negative 14. So we're only going to use the negatives here. Negative 1 times negative 24, negative 2 times negative 12, negative 3 times negative 8, and negative 4 times negative 6. Okay? Which of these factors add to negative 14? It would be negative 2 and negative 12. So we'd have x minus 2 times x minus 12. And that would be how we factor that one there. All right. One more example here. We notice this next page, once again, we have to be really careful of our signs here. We notice we want two numbers to multiply to negative 8, which is our C value, and add to 7, which is our B value. All right. So we need numbers to kind of do like we have been, to multiply to negative 8, but add to 7. Well, how do we get negative 8? One's going to be positive and one's going to be negative. So I would have 1 and 8 or 2 and 4. All right. So when we go through and do this, all right, what we need to do here, all right, is find two numbers that are going to multiply to negative 8 and add to 7. Another way you can think about this, which of these numbers have a difference of 7, right? Because we're going to have to add a positive and a negative. Well, 1 and 8. If I did 1 plus negative 8, that would give me negative 7, but we're looking for a positive 7. So what I would need to do here is negative 1 plus 8, which equals 7. This is our pair, and this is our addition that's going to give us positive 7. So I would say x minus 1 times x plus 8. All right, the signs are really important here. And I'll go through and do this again because I forgot to highlight them to show you guys these things. All right, so when we look at example B, once again, we're going to multiply to negative 15, which is going to tell us that one's going to be positive and one's going to be negative, and they're going to add to positive 2. All right. So anytime we have a negative that's going to multiply to, remember, we're really going to find the difference. If I start off with my factors of 15, it would be 1 and 15 or 3 and 5. Which one of these has a difference of 2? 3 and 5. So I would go through and say, well, what's 3 plus negative 5? That's negative 2. That's not going to work. And if I did negative 3 plus 5, that gives me 2. So now that tells me how this is going to factor. This is going to factor to x minus 3 times x plus 5. All right. Our last one here, remember, we're going to multiply to our c, which is negative 42. And we're going to add to negative 1. Remember, there's that negative negative 1 in front of the x. All right, so when it's a negative here, remember, we're going to need to do all of our factors. Do 1 and 42, 2 and 21, 3 and 14, and 6 and 7. All right, so remember, when we want to multiply to a negative, we want to find the difference to really be negative 1. Which of these factors have a difference of negative 1? It would be 6 and 7. All right, if I did 6 plus negative 7, that equals negative 1, and that's what I'm looking for. Okay, and just to show you, which doesn't work, would be negative 6 and positive 7. So because I have my difference of negative 1, and they multiply to negative 42, my parentheses are x plus 6 and x minus 7. Okay. Once again, the parentheses don't matter, the order of them, but the numbers and the signs in them do matter. All right. All right. We'll go over some more examples of this tomorrow in class. Please let us know if you have any questions. Have a great day.